الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رب صائم ليس له من صيام إلا الجوع ورب قائم ليس له من قيام إلا السهر وهو ابن ماجه. It was narrated from Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there are people who fast and get nothing from the fast except for hunger. And there are those who stand in the night prayer, or those who pray and get nothing from their prayer except a sleepless night. It's narrated in Ibn Majah. So alhamdulillah, as we go through these days of the month of Ramadan and we fast throughout the day, fasting is no doubt at times during the daytime we feel the pangs of hunger, we feel our stomachs growling, right? We're exerting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a particular purpose, and that is to be conscious and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Physically, a person feels hungry, a person feels thirsty. We have those desires as a human being and those needs as a human being, those necessities as a human being. But the reason we are doing this again is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be conscious of Allah, to stay away from those desires which are, while we stay away from those desires and those needs which are necessary for us, we stay away from those desires and those temptations which are in displeasure towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi, he mentions the three types of fast that there are. He talks about the ordinary fast, then the extraordinary fast, and then the super elite, or the ordinary, the elite, and then the super elite fast. Three categories of fast that he mentions. The ordinary fast is the one where a person goes throughout their day and they basically just refrain from food and drink and intimacy. Right? They may still be committing some sins here and there, doing this, doing that. They're staying hungry and they're staying thirsty, but they are still doing some things here and there. This is the ordinary fast. A person is just staying away from the basic things. The fast is getting done, but they're not doing everything that they could do. The second category is the aspect of the elite fast. In addition to the ordinary of refraining from food, refraining from drink, refraining from intimacy, and those things we are supposed to refrain from, what do they say? He says, we protect the limbs, the body parts from committing sins. You protect the eyes from gazing and looking at those things which are haram and impermissible to look at. You protect the tongue from the actions which the tongue is prohibited from. For example, backbiting, lying, slandering, and so on and so forth. Right? You protect the ears from listening to that which is haram and that which is impermissible. You protect the rest of your body, the rest of your limbs, from going towards that or doing those things which are haram, your hands, your feet, and so on and so forth. Right? And then the thing that we had talked about a couple of days ago, not overindulging at the time of iftar. That is also a part of the continuation of the fast. Yes, you are eating at that time, but the whole spirit of fasting is to refrain from your desires and refrain from your nafs. So not overindulging at the time of iftar, that is also a part of the continuation of the spirit of Ramadan as well. Right? And then, subhanAllah, also having the feeling, and he adds this and he says, hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your fast, and at the same time fearing that your fast may not be accepted, having that balance between fear and hope as we're supposed to do as a believer. Whenever we do an action for the sake of Allah, what do? We ask Allah for acceptance and qabuliyah. We make the best effort we can, and then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His acceptance. So that is the fasting of the elite. And then you go to the third category, which is of the super elite. And that's mentioned, where it's mentioned in order to the ordinary and the elite, to abstain from worldly thoughts, concerns, and everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is like basically the level of, Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam and very, very pious predecessors. But the least we can do is try to strive for the middle category. And not just have the ordinary fast where we're just staying hungry and staying thirsty, but we're still committing actions which are in displeasure to Allah. While we're physically fasting, we should want it too that our limbs are also fasting. While we're physically fasting, we should want it that our hearts and our souls are being nourished with that which is good, by reading the Quran, listening to the Quran, doing those actions that are in pleasure towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, we are physically fasting. We could always nourish and feed our soul and feed our hearts by spending time in good company and by reading the Quran, listening to the Quran, and so on and so forth. Right? And then refraining from using the body parts and the limbs that Allah has given us as an amana, refraining from using them in displeasure towards Allah. Use them in pleasure towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by pleasing Him. That is what we are supposed to do. And if we can do that, then at least we can strive, inshallah, for that middle category and make the most out of this blessed month of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who strive for this category. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to not only refrain from food and drink and those matters which are necessary for us, but also to refrain from all of those sins, any sin which is in displeasure, any sin that is committed. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to refrain from that during this month of Ramadan, and to also continue these good habits outside of the month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us and give us the ability to use our limbs and everything that Allah has given us as an amana in the proper way and in the correct way. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us on the path of al-birr wa taqwa. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again that all of our brothers and sisters who are going through any type of difficulty, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them relief, and those who are sick, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them speedy shifa and sabrun jameel during this time. Ameen. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.